I'm playing something almost every week, and sometimes I want to talk about it and give you a vertical slice. So stick with me for some lightning reviews. This week on the chopping block. This week I've been playing Castle Crashers. Since my business matters took priority, I had to step away for a week, but on the other hand, that left a little bit more time to play a few select titles. I said I intended not to miss an upload, but to paraphrase what General Moltke from the Franco-Prussian War famously said, plans never survive the front line. Anyway, one upcoming project I intend on publishing needs to ensure fun and relatively current games that can run on what would be considered underpowered or even anemic hardware, hence Castle Crashers. Although when I say relatively current, understand the word relatively is doing some pretty heavy lifting. Castle Crashers initially launched on the Xbox Live Arcade service approximately, 5, 6 years? Try 17! Well, the remaster version was released in 2019, and it's only been within the last year that we finally got a physical copy on the Switch. Relatedly, we're allegedly going to get updates with new bosses and content relatively soon, so yeah, current title. Castle Crashers is a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you play as a knight under the king's employ with the goal of saving 4 kidnapped princesses and returning a giant stolen jewel. That's the entirety of the plot as you need to understand it. Beat-em-ups not exactly being a genre known for their engrossing or richly intertwined stories. While on the surface, the plot is only about as deep as a kiddie pool, but the visual and audio presentation is wholly unique and appealing, being reminiscent and indeed a product of early 2000s Newgrounds Flash animation. See also titles like Alien Hominid or Battle Block Theater, also by the same devs at the Behemoth Studios. Alright, here's one of my overall genre gaming opinions, and this one pertains to side-scrolling beat-em-ups. By and large, I don't really care for most of them. I'll occasionally play them with friends, but when left to my own devices, they're not too far from the bottom of the list of genres that I could go the rest of my life without playing one. See also MMOs and visual novel titles. But as with most genres I don't like, there can exist exceptions, and Castle Crashers is one of those exceptions. Yeah, I'll give up the conclusory opinion now. I like Castle Crashers enough for it to eclipse my overall apathy for the rest of the genre, which is down to a few aspects. For one, to dive back into the presentation, the cartoony visual style bleeds personality and charm. Little animation flourishes and smoothness of every character frame, and the humor constantly being delivered makes Castle Crashers endearing in a similar manner to Pizza Tower. But it's not just the visuals. The soundtrack, from when I played it back near its original launch to this day, lives in my head rent-free. From intense and robust boss fights to jovial and lighthearted romps being carried out in flowery meadows. Each track has a distinct sound, and it's so good that it's one of those rare scenarios where I keep a digital soundtrack on my phone's music library on the hopes that it'll appear in my shuffle. And while you can play and complete the campaign and consider it a one-and-done affair, Castle Crashers also facilitates numerous playthroughs. From a level-up system that can see a preferred character increase in strength, speed, defense, and magic abilities, to a variety of weapons you can buy or find in levels, to a menagerie of assistant animals that can be discovered with wide-ranging effects. Speaking of characters, chances are, if this game has an enemy, you can unlock it as a playable knight. Back in the day, me and a group of friends played this game for dozens, if not hundreds of hours to 100% it on the Xbox 360. Oh yeah, you can play this game from start to finish in co-op if you want. Then again, it'd be a pretty piss-poor example of a beat-em-up if you couldn't, and while I was pleased to say I was able to beat the game entirely in single player, towards the end of the game I certainly would have appreciated the assistance of other players to lessen the strain, particularly in the sequence of final bosses back to back. Fortunately, the checkpoint system, while spaced out just enough to be annoying, was also just close enough to the relevant conflict that I was willing to keep coming back. Also, the lack of a limited life feature continues to illustrate how archaic of a system it was, being designed to more bilk children out of quarters. The more I think about it, the more I struggle to find damning criticisms for Castle Crashers. I suppose if you intend to 100% the game, then it will get insufferably repetitive and grindy. Some boss fights degrade into you spamming weaker long-range attacks, to the point where it started to become tedious. What else? I guess the Necromancer room where you get spammed with mobs to the point where you can easily get overwhelmed felt kind of cheap. I don't know, I'm struggling to think of anything else. I don't like most beat-em-ups, but Castle Crashers is again the exception. It's simple on the surface, but reveals depth the more you play, aesthetically charming, appropriately challenging, can be played with friends, is inexpensive to buy on Steam, and will run nicely on damn near anything, and in my opinion, may be the absolute pinnacle of what its genre has to offer. I had some minor frustrations along the way, but never enough to make me put down the controller for good. Seriously, buy this game. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to run some errands around town before I'm deployed on the final leg of my business trip. Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. Remember that I give away Steam keys with my regular weekly uploads, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment and have contact info on your YouTube profile. But as always, thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.